The jungle canopy of Varith 4 shimmered with light that didn't belong to any sun. It pulsed instead, slow and rhythmic, as though the forest itself breathed. Corporal Elias Reeve tightened the strap of his survival pack and pushed through the thick foliage, boots sinking into moss that seemed almost too warm, like skin. He'd been separated from his unit 3 days ago after the shuttle crash. The others might be dead. He didn't know. What he did know was that this alien world was alive in ways the manuals hadn't prepared him for. Plants tracked him with lazy rotations. Pollen drifted toward him like curious insects, brushing against his cheeks and vanishing. And then there were the daughters. Elias first saw them when he stumbled into the heart of a clearing ringed by strange stone-like growths. Dozens of figures stood there, tall, slender, with skin the color of pale ivory and hair that flowed like woven strands of moonlight. Their eyes were slitted like predatory beasts, but they didn't bare their fangs. They simply stared at him. He'd raised his rifle. His trembling hands gave him away. And then one of them stepped forward. She was shorter than the others, her features softer, her posture less rigid. Her lips parted, releasing a voice that carried like wind through hollow reeds. "You touched them, human." Elias blinked, his finger tightening on the trigger. "I don't what?" "The sacred blooms," she said, pointing at his arm. Elias looked down. In pushing through the brush earlier, he'd unknowingly brushed against a cluster of blue-limbed flowers. Their petals now clung to his sleeve, glowing faintly. The girl's voice dropped lower, her expression unreadable. "Now you belong to my daughters. Forever." The binding. They didn't kill him. Instead, they encircled him, dozens of alien women moving in a slow, deliberate pattern. Their eyes never wavered. Elias tried to back away, but a pair of them blocked his path. Another gently touched his chest, her hand cool but strong enough to stop him in place. "I don't belong to anyone," Elias snapped, though his voice cracked. "I'm just trying to get off this planet." The leader tilted her head, then spoke a word he didn't understand. A sudden pressure shot through his chest, as though invisible vines had wrapped around his ribs. He stumbled, gasping. The women's eyes glowed faintly. The shorter one stepped closer, her gaze softer. "The flowers have chosen you. They mark you. You cannot leave." "Chosen me? For what?" "To endure. To carry. To stay with us." Elias's skin prickled. He didn't understand what ritual he had stumbled into, but the conviction in their voices chilled him. He remembered the mission briefing. Varith 4. Unclassified. Possible sentient natives. Approach with caution. He hadn't expected this. The village. They led him deeper into the jungle, walking with uncanny silence. Elias considered making a break for it, but his legs still felt weak from whatever power they had used on him. Besides, they moved with the confidence of predators. He doubted he'd make it far. Soon the trees gave way to what looked like a village, but not one made by human hands. Massive trunks had been hollowed into spiraling homes. Bioluminescent vines wound across bridges strung between branches, bathing everything in soft blues and greens. Children, smaller versions of the women with bright, curious eyes, peeked out at him from behind woven leaf screens. Everywhere he turned, he felt eyes on him. They brought him into a chamber at the heart of the village. It wasn't a throne room, but it felt like one. The largest of them sat on a raised seat woven from roots, her presence radiating power. Her hair was darker than the others, her eyes sharper. She regarded him like one might regard a dangerous animal, equal parts curiosity and caution. "You touched the sacred bloom," she said. Her voice carried authority. "Do you deny it?" Elias shook his head slowly. I didn't know. It was an accident. Accident or not, the bond is made. The bloom does not choose lightly. I don't even know what that means, Elias said. I'm just trying to survive. The woman's lips curled into something between a smile and a snarl. You will survive. With us. My daughters will see to it. Her words struck Elias like a sentence handed down. Learning their ways. Days bled into weeks. They didn't cage him, but neither did they let him leave. Whenever he tried, one of the women would appear, silent and immovable, blocking his path. Instead, they began teaching him their ways. The shorter woman who had first spoken to him, her name was Lyrian, became his guide. She showed him how they harvested nectar from the glowing vines, how they hunted the six-legged grazers that roamed the lower canopy. You see, she said one evening, placing a piece of roasted meat in his hands. You are not our prisoner. You are part of us now. Elias frowned. You mean I'm trapped here forever? She tilted her head. Trapped. Well, chosen. Elias couldn't deny there was a strange serenity to their life. The village moved as one organism, each woman attuned to the forest around them. At night, they sang songs that resonated with the trees, and the trees seemed to hum back. But Elias never forgot the commander's words. If cut off, regroup. Survive. Signal for extraction. He had to get off this planet. Test came unexpectedly. A shriek tore through the canopy one morning, a sound that made Elias's blood run cold. The village erupted in alarm. They come, one of the women hissed. From the tree-line, massive creatures burst forth, hulking beasts with armor like hides and tusks longer than spears. The women moved as one, leaping down from the platforms, their spears and blades glowing with the same strange light as the flowers. Elias grabbed the only weapon they'd let him keep, a crude spear Lyrian had given him, and stood at her side. You don't have to fight, she said quickly, her eyes scanning the beasts. Yes, I do, Elias said, surprising himself. The battle was chaos. The beasts charged, tusks splintering wood and sending platforms crashing down. The women fought fiercely, darting in and out, striking at vulnerable joints. Elias thrust his spear into the flank of one creature, narrowly avoiding a tusk that would have gutted him. Pain flared across his shoulder as another beast slammed him aside. He crashed into the roots, vision swimming. Above him, a tusk arced down. But Lyrian was there, her blade sinking into the beast's throat. It collapsed with a shuddering groan. She knelt beside him, her hands trembling as she pressed against his wound. You fight with us, she whispered. You bleed with us. Now do you understand? The bond is real. Elias, gasping, realized he did. Revelation. After the battle, Elias sat in the central chamber, his wound bandaged with glowing vines that pulsed gently against his skin. The matriarch regarded him with unreadable eyes. You did not flee, she said. Elias shook his head. I couldn't. They were coming for you. And so you fought as one of us. Perhaps the bloom did not err. He swallowed hard. What happens to me now? The matriarch's gaze softened. You belong to my daughters. That does not mean chains. Means bond. Means when you walk, they walk. When you bleed, they bleed. When you love, they love. The weight of her words settled on him. He looked at Lyrian, standing quietly at the edge of the chamber, her eyes filled with something he couldn't quite name. For the first time, Elias didn't feel like a prisoner.